a small introduction of SEAP book club. I see most of us have already attended a couple of sessions. It would just be an formality. We'll go through the overview and then we'll start with the discussion. Generally, the book club's objective is to share the book and not review the book. So basically presenting the author's view and not our own view. It is generally a 40-minute presentation which is followed by discussion. We meet every first Saturday of the month. Same venue, same place, so that there is predictability. It's open for all SEAP members, and non-SEAP members are with invitation. They can come and join the club. The expectations are that there is an active participation from all of us. We take turns to present the book, and we are regular and punctual in attending these meetings. A little about Tim Harford before we start with the book. He's been a writer, he's been a presenter on television, he's a lecturer in Oxford University, and he's also worked with World Bank and Shell. The book has various chapters. As I was mentioning, the very reason this book interested me was not being a person with economics background. I was actually able to understand a lot of principles of economics with this book. The best part of the book is it has taken a lot of examples, real world examples, and explained some very difficult concepts of economics through those examples. Each one of these chapters have taken one topic at a time, and Tim has explained in detail how do those work in our real life. For example, the first chapter, which says who pays for your coffee, is actually taken the power of scarcity and how does it work in real life. In the supermarket section, he's talked about pricing strategies, different pricing strategies that are adopted by supermarkets and many other organizations in building real life pricing so that they get the maximum out of the consumers. He's talked of efficiency in economics, he's talked of externality costs, corruption, why are poor countries poor. On globalization, he's done some comparative advantages. Why should one country produce one good and another country another? He's taken all of these together and said how China grew rich, adopting each one of these principles. At the beginning of the book, Tim said that my aim in this book is to help you see the world like an economist. By the end of this book, you will become a savvy consumer. So he basically want us to see the book, see things in light of an economist. How does an economist look at it, and be more informed about it. Right? As I said, the book is full of examples. He's also gone on to explain that. Not really. We just started, so I just gave an introduction of the author and then started. A lot of Nobel Prizes have been given not for the advancement of obvious economic facts, but for the implementation of economics in our real life activities like human development, psychology, and history. Let's take a simple example, starting the chapter saying who pays for your coffee. The concept here is he's taken one of these metro cities and taken their a metro rail station and said that coffee is being sold in one of these stations is much more costlier than the actual cost of the coffee. And he's gone on to explain why. So he started with, calculate the cost of coffee. Now see whether, the coffee that you get is, how costly is it? He's actually said that it's, marked 1.5 times, 150% of the cost of coffee, including everything, right from the cost of making the coffee to rent to everything else. And then he went on to explain why is it so much costly. I mean, the obvious example, the obvious understanding would be, since the rents are high at that place, the coffee would be costly. Why would the rents be high? Because a coffee company would want exclusivity or scarcity, so that there is only one coffee shop available in one of the metro stations, so that every person passing through that would be would buy coffee from that particular coffee bar. what he's explained is it is the power of scarcity due to which an organization is able to charge much more money to a consumer and not because of the ingredients of the element. Once he said that, he's also explained that why would that happen? Who would make money out of that coffee business? I mean, we would assume that it is the coffee bar owner, but that is not the case. To get that scarcity power, the coffee bar owner would have to rent the place from the owner of the place. So scarcity is not of the coffee, scarcity is of the place. So it is the owner of the place who would actually benefit from this entire business. The coffee bar would have to get into an exclusive agreement with the owner of the place so that there is only one coffee bar in the vicinity. That would mean that most of the profits is actually going to the owner of the place. He's taken the twist there and explained, is it really the case? Instead of a coffee bar, if there was a salon or if there was a car agency, would they be able to make same amount of money? Would they be able to charge the same premium? Probably not. The point that he's trying to make here is, it is not the scarcity only, but it is also the willingness of the individuals to pay for a convenient location is what makes the price of coffee higher. So, I mean, a very simple example taken, but with lot of arguments to it, is how he explains that it is we as individuals who are willing to pay an extra premium for the convenience is why a coffee is costlier in a metro station. Taken similar examples like, consider a big farmland wherein you have a lot of land available for farming. Is the owner of the farm at an advantage to make more money out of it? Probably not, if there are not many farmers available to rent the place. So it is the scarcity of the farmers that would give them an edge in terms of getting money out of the business. Let's say if there are more farmers, if the number of farmers increase, then the scarcity would shift from farmers to the landlords, and then the landlords will be able to make money. So it is the power of scarcity that gives the ability to command high prices. So explaining the power of scarcity, Tim says that if there is a profitable deal to be done between two parties, between somebody who's got something unique and somebody who's got something to offer, then the profit will always go to the owner of the unique resources. If the relative scarcity shifts from one person to another, the bargaining power also shifts. Creating artificial scarcity increases the price of the good. So he said that businesses often go to a great length to introduce that scarcity into the business. For example, real estate prices in London is higher, considerably higher in the main city. One of the ways in which landlords have managed to keep the prices higher is they have, along with the government, they have introduced green belts. Green belts is where you cannot make more buildings. Now, having green belts is an artificial way of creating scarcity, which basically ensures that the buildings which are already present and the landlords, they would be able to command a much higher premium as compared to if there were a lot more buildings coming up, then their rents would go down. Only in a case of monopoly is when an organization will be able to keep a smaller cost even if the resources are scarce. Taking to the concept of supermarkets, Tim has actually explained a lot of examples from supermarkets as to how do they go about doing the pricing, how does it affect an individual who's actually a purchaser or a consumer in the supermarket. He said that supermarkets, they do pricing in various forms, right from location-based pricing to having comparative goods in place. He's taken basically various examples wherein he's taken the same supermarket, say Sainsbury, from a place which is where people live who can pay higher prices to a place where people can actually would want to afford a lower premium goods. He said that the supermarket which is present in the premium location, they would not actually offer goods that are of same value but at relatively lower price. They would not offer cheaper substitutes, and making price comparison difficult between two similar items. So what he said is, although you may see the same brand and same good in two different places, if they're based upon the location, their prices may actually differ. One of the typical strategies that supermarkets adopt is when they are setting up the pricing, they actually do they actually offer discounts or sales so that you are not able to compare prices between two supermarkets. So he's taken an example like, instead of offering a 30% discount twice a year, why can't a supermarket offer 5% discount throughout the year? The logic is they do not want you to find out the price and compare the price with other supermarkets. A typical strategy applied by a lot of supermarkets is they would simply triple the price of a vegetable one fine day. People who are conscious about price, they would ensure that they do not buy that particular product but would go with other products. Whereas the price blind consumer, he would just go and pick up any product available.
Even in India?
I think it's a lot more difficult in India. Here we are a lot more price conscious. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure these strategies are applied at a lot of places. I mean, in India, we would see something like Big Bazaar. They would have branded products, but at the same time, they would also have their own brands. So, I mean, they would have much more markup on their own brands, although they are relatively cheaper to the branded products. And then we actually, when we see them next to each other, we tend to think that they are of equal quality. That may not be the case all the time. So they would actually be able to make much more money out of it. There are different types of pricing strategies that are adopted by various organizations. And this is not only about supermarkets, but also about many companies. One of them is unique target. You identify each customer, find out how much is he willing to pay, and then put that, put that price to that consumer. Very typical examples are used car salesmen or real estate agents. They would see each individual and then decide upon the pricing. Although this works most effectively with individuals, but it is not scalable. If you as an organization would want to implement it, it would become very difficult because there would be no standardization. It is difficult to automate and it requires a lot of information of the consumer. You would basically, for a trade to happen and for a profit to happen, you would actually want to ensure that the transaction takes place. Unless the transaction takes place, there will be no benefit, there will be no profit. So for each one of these, like a unique target, you would basically want the trade to happen first, and only then you will be in a position to make a profit. In a group target strategy, you would basically offer group pricing to different groups. For example, in a trade, you may want to give a discount to senior citizens. Now, from a business point of view, there is no difference if an old man or a young man is traveling in the train. I mean, it is pretty much the same. But then you would want to offer group strategies so that you can maximize on your profits. By offering group discounts, you are actually in a position to attract all those consumers that may otherwise not get, would not come to you in case your prices are much higher. Price targeting is what we also discussed in the supermarkets, wherein they adopt multiple strategies, right from based on location, based on product, based on putting different products together, placing them in a strategic position so that you are able to command much more prices for them. These are difficult to prove. They are more efficient from the point of view of seller. But basically in this book, Tim has also taken the view from consumer. And he wants us as consumers to be more alert in terms of how do we go about doing our shopping. Taken an example of Starbucks, wherein he said that the different